So, do you want to find out how to program the vacation mode on a Lutron HomeWorks QS system? That's what we're going to talk about here. One of the key features of Lutron HomeWorks QS is the vacation mode. This vacation mode allows you to operate your light to make it look like someone is at home, which is very different from a time clock, for example, which is more for an automated or predefined way to operate your lights at specific times. So let me open up the Lutron HomeWorks QS software. Here, I'm using the current version at the time of this recording, which is 50.5. Let me open an existing database of one of my recent projects. There we go. This project has already been fully commissioned and programmed. That's why I already have all my rooms and lighting already set up. So let's go directly to the Program tab and select Vacation Mode here. As always, I'm going to start from the top and make my way down the page. So the very first step is really to configure this vacation mode, and we see later how to activate it. And I'm going to start with answering the first question here, which is from what time to what time do I want my light to turn on and off here with the default values. Just to clarify, this does not mean that my lights are going to turn on at that time here, then stay on to finally turn off at this specific time here. Instead, what I mean is that the lighting circuit I will select will turn on and off multiple times during this time period, giving the illusion that somebody is in the house. So the way you set up the time period here really depends on your client needs, and the default values are not too bad. Now, from my experience, what I think works well is to start with an astronomical time instead, like 2 hours before sunset, for example. Because as we all know, we don't usually wait to be dark outside before turning the lights on. And our sunset time will change every day, so will my starting point, which is something great to have on a vacation mode. So let's finish here and say that I want my light to stop turning on and off at midnight, midnight, for example, just to use a fixed time value. Voila. So now the next step is to select which lighting circuit we want to include in our vacation mode. And also, when that circuit will turn on, to which lighting level do I need that circuit to be at? We don't have to include each and every circuit in a house to give the impression that someone is in. Nor do we need those lighting circuits to be full on at 100%. This is great because it will help us managing energy consumption and cost when the client is away. So in my case here, I'll go to the entry hall and only select the circuit of down light here and set the light level to 50%, which will be more than enough. Then go to the living room and select this circuit here and set the light level to 50%. And maybe the main panel here that I will set to 70%, for example. We can also adjust the fade time and delay if we want to. I like to keep the default value here. I think it makes those change of light level a bit more real. And I carry on with the kitchen where there is usually a lot of things going on there. I will set up the main light here to 70% and the LED strip here to 50% and nothing else. Then I move on to the other rooms and set them up in the same way. Like here in a master bedroom, maybe select a circuit in the ensuite, and in some of the other rooms. Just a few circuits, enough to be noticeable from the outside. But I won't set up any circuit in rooms where there is no windows, as this will be a waste. Once I finish setting up the lighting circuits and the level I want them to be at in my vacation mode, if I want to, I can click here and get a summary of my vacation events. Here, I can see that I have a first event 2 hours before sunset, plus or minus 30 minutes, which means that this event will happen randomly within a 30-minute time bracket, where I will have this lighting circuit here turning on to the value I specified previously, and those one here switching off. Perfect. Then another event 1.5 hours before sunset, still within a 30 minutes time bracket, where I will have, as you can see here, a different set of lighting circuits turning on and other circuits turning off. Then a third, a fourth event, etc. A whole series of events until we get to the last one here at midnight, plus or minus 30 minutes, where I will have all those lighting circuits here switching off until those vacation events will start again later on that day. Now that I have set up my vacation mode, let's see how the user, the client, will activate it. So let's go back to the program tab here and select device. The quick and easy way to control the vacation mode is to select a button on a keypad like this one here, call it vacation, for example, set the button type to toggle. Then on the press on tab, select vacation mode here, then go to settings and select enable. And just like this, I've programmed the press on action on my button to activate the vacation mode. And as this is a toggle button, I now go to the off level tab here, and I can see that HomeWorks has automatically set the vacation mode to be disabled on the toggle off action. Great. So now, let me download this programming to my HomeWorks system to test this button. So, when I press it once, I activate the vacation mode. And when I press it again, I'll disable it to stop it. Very easy. But did you ever had clients calling saying that for the last couple of days, some of the lights been randomly switching themselves on and off? Maybe they come back from holidays and forget to switch off the vacation mode, huh? So to make it easy for the client to quickly check if the vacation mode is activated or not, the way I like to program it is once I've selected the circuits and they are level on the screen here, is to go to my program tab here and this time go to sequence. And here I will add a new sequence called vacation mode sequence, for example. Set it up as a manual sequence. And I rename the first step of this sequence as vacation mode on. Then go to the list of items, select vacation mode here, then go to settings and select enable. And most importantly, I will change the LED status and set the LED to flash or blink as it says here. Then I'll go to the second step here, rename it vacation mode off, and set my vacation mode to disable. And set the LED to off. Voila. So I've set up my vacation mode, embedded the vacation mode into a manual sequence, and now I'm going to assign that manual sequence into a button. To do so, very easy. I go back to my vacation button, clear all previous programming, change the button type to single action, and on the press on tab here, I now go and select sequences. Expand my manual sequences to find my vacation mode sequence here. And I will set it up to sequence start next. Which means that each press will start and take me to the next step of that sequence. And to finish, I will set the LED logic here to be defined by sequence. So the button should reflect the LED status defined for each step of that sequence, which is exactly what I need. Now, let me go to transfer and download the database so we can test that button. Voila. On my vacation button here, if I press once, I'll activate the vacation mode. And now I have the LED flashing for feedback, which is cool. And when the clients come back, they can clearly see that the vacation mode is on. They will just have to press on that button, and when the LED is off, we all know the vacation mode is now disabled. That is cool, right? Voila. There you have it. How to quickly and efficiently program the vacation mode on the Lutron HomeWorks QS system. I hope you find this tutorial useful. And if there is any other topic on Lutron HomeWorks QS programming you would like me to cover in the future, please let me know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel so you can be updated when the next video is released. Thank you very much and talk to you again on the next tutorial.